I'm gonna be painting this monkey dude again tonight. Let me put on some music. I don't know why my headphones are doing that. My headphones just went ding in my ear. Anyway, I'm gonna be painting this monkey. So I'm gonna put some music on. And let's do that. So as always, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the chat. I think I'm all good to go. Yeah, Kim's in the chat too. Oh, you know what? I need to get my coffee. I don't know where I put it. Hello. When doing a graphic background, how do you avoid it looking like one of those if penny photography bad green screen effect? Well, you just kind of paint them together a little bit. I mean, I'm not trying to like leave this guy kind of sitting on it static. I'll merge the two a little, make it look more like an actual painting. Right now it's just kind of a static monkey on a teal background, but that'll change. But just painting them together a little bit helps, so it's not just like a cutout. Do you have a go-to texture or layer effect that you're guilty of repeat using? Those various Halloween characters had a well-used D&D wear to the finish without being too samey. Yeah, I mean, I like to use like just some grain effects, like that type of thing. I mean, it's less to do with like, I don't know, like I'm not going for the same exact finish every single time, but I just want it to feel a little more cozy and real. Like I'm just not crazy about overtly digital looking things. I feel like you lose the humanity of something a little bit. So I really only add that stuff just to ground it slightly. That's about it. So whatever can do that, a little bit of noise or like paper texture, watercolor, or something like that. I try to do as much of that as possible in my actual painting, so that I don't have to rely on any sort of textures. At least not like textures at the end that kind of feel like they're band-aids sitting on top. So I feel like between Krita and Clip, with like the chrome brushes in Krita and then the watercolor brush in Clip Studio here, I'm able to kind of do a decent amount of texture building on my own without having to rely on like photos or anything like that. And then the Greg Rutkowski brushes that I use in Photoshop help a lot too, to just paint some elements together. Making sure my dog doesn't have to go pee. She just walked into the doorway and looked at me. Please don't go to the bathroom on the floor. And you can see I'm kind of just building up values here. I'm just working in Clip Studio with the watercolor brush, just painting and blending, and then I kind of hop between this and Photoshop to get varying degrees of texture in there. The way I'm kind of thinking about it is I'll use like Clip and Krita to paint in like large chunked in sections, you know, like blocks almost, like I'm sketching around. And then Photoshop I'll use to kind of smooth everything out, add like, and not just like using like a smudge brush or nothing like that, but just like painting in with textures to kind of blend. And I end up being able to maintain this type of like oil look that I've been going for in a lot of my work recently, which hopefully I'll be able to show in the future. But it's looking like the future is many years. Now, I'll have a couple things that'll be coming out, which I'm excited about, but still doing lots of learning. Have I thought about using the video AI to bring my illustrations to life? No, I mean, I don't really care about that. I don't like the way any of that stuff looks. I like jankiness and like hand-drawn stuff, and I'm sure eventually you'll be able to just do anything, but yeah, I'm not crazy about the output of that stuff right now. Not to mention just the ethics of it. When you were training, did you practice deliberately in a way that you envision your style and works toward? No, not really. Most of the time, I was just trying to improve. That was really it. I didn't really have like a clear idea of like who I was going to become, what style I would have. I was just trying to make stuff and get better. Any Discord challenges in the foreseeable future? Yes, I did write that whole one out that I mentioned like forever ago. How about this? Right after this stream ends, I will put that together and post that up. Because I can actually do that now. I just kept getting like completely behind on like everything in my life. I've been a mess in terms of being able to keep up with shit. But I'm pretty okay right now. Everything's smooth sailing. When was the last time someone called me Mr. Delicious? 2 seconds ago. Have you seen Attack on Titan? If so, what did you think about the ending? I watched, God, what did I watch? I watched a decent amount of it. I think I stopped watching that show maybe 3 years ago. So I'm not caught up, I don't think. I remember when that finale was coming up, but I didn't like pick it up and get going again watching it. I thought it was good though. I like that kind of the just the like ongoing anime thing where they just keep on doing like these popcorn shows, not super complex but like addicting. That formula for like the Shonen Jump style story, I find that stuff real interesting in terms of like that formula of getting somebody hooked the way that a lot of those do. I always think there's something to that, like, because they're not just doing like the whole book outright, you know? Like, I don't know if that's that. I don't know if that's what Attack on Titan was, but like how they have to keep putting them out like one after another. And they don't go, at least I don't know if they do this, they don't go back and like redo bits to make sure that the story all flows. They have to kind of commit to what they put out and then go from there. I always feel like that probably makes for an interesting result because you can't overthink anything. You have to just release it. You can't be like a super perfectionist. And you gotta kind of roll with the story that you come up with. I feel like over time that would make you a very efficient storyteller. Even if at first it feels like impossible to deliver something like that. Have I been impacted by the rise of AI? Not me personally, but I see it all over the industry. It's pretty brutal. I just feel bad for future artists not being able to get a start. That's kind of what I always come back to. That's what bums me out the most. I think these people have too much of a reliance on just technology kind of getting you there, and it's just not gonna work out well, because if none of these artists have a place to start and be bad for a little while but still make money, how are they ever gonna get to a point where they're great? if everybody's using AI, you're gonna miss out on all sorts of new styles and things. Like, I'll always go back to the idea that you don't get, if AI had started when the Renaissance paintings were just all they had to feed it, do you think that AI would have inevitably written and created Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z? Do you think it would have taken Renaissance paintings and gone from that all the way to Dragon Ball? I highly doubt it. So people can say that you got this nice new thing to play with, but you're gonna miss out on an awful lot if it ends up becoming the dominant thing and the cheapest whatever, like it seems. And it's very short-sighted. Just gonna make you kind of dumb. Anytime you just replace yourself with something that's just meant to make you efficient for efficiency's sake, just to release a product, it's like, and I mean that for like anything, even in terms of like using a computer the way I am right now, me having the ability to hit undo, that does something. Like, over time, it makes me, like, there's certain aspects of it that are good, right? Because then you can try all sorts of stuff and learn and whatever, and it's really quick. But then you get used to that speed and you don't have the same patience, and then you miss out on a lot of the things like, if you never do traditional, you miss out on that thing of like, every stroke matters, and like, you better plan your painting and your painting and like your watercolor stuff. It's like being very purposeful with what you choose to do. Like, I had to take a break from digital just for that reason, to make sure that I actually learned how to draw, and I had to be a bit more disciplined with like what shortcuts I used, like what was slowing me from learning. Like, I should stop using those things. Like, that's just a me thing. Like, it's not going to be everybody. But I think that there's aspects of life that you don't need to automate and make perfect. Sometimes it's nice to just, slow down a little bit, meditate a little bit in a thing, have happy accidents occur, have not every single little thing be this finished shiny product that you can sell, and instead find little nuances in the mistakes and the iterations and whatever, and your growth, learn what it means to spend your time doing things and being deliberate. You often learn a lot about yourself when you decide to sit down and take on some impossible seeming task, or I don't do art to get a finished painting at the end. I could care less about that. It's about the process of doing it. And I think that if you use something like AI and think that you're an artist, it's like that kind of hollow feeling of like, oh yeah, I made the thing, now what? It's just more of the like kind of ADHD shit. Just like, you don't have any more patience. Life is just about now, make the thing, give it to me. I want to see it done. There it is. Perfect. Like, just spend a little bit of time. Get it right. Is there something I wish I had done sooner? I'll say it over and over. Just draw. Just plain drawing. Do you think comics might get a little bit of a boost because of AI? Comics are a human-dominated art form. I think it's a place where you can remain kind of personal in your work that's also illustrative. It's not like fine art. I think it's a safe place where, if you want to make a living and you also are an artist who happens to have like a interesting story to tell, then that's a good place to be, because there's so many different disciplines involved in that one medium. You firmly believe that no one will ever watch an AI generated film. People are going to make a shitload of them, skim through them really quick, and then flood the internet with them. Yeah, I mean, as soon as you make anything that's cheap and has, you know, like, you put a lot of thought, I feel this way anyway. I feel like you put a lot of thought into something because you know on the back end of that, like, how much work it's going to take to produce. When something is just point and click and it's done and it's out there, then you're less likely to sit there and like really put the time in to think through and problem solve. Like, one of the best parts of any sort of production or whatever is the limitations. The limitations make you creative. Having infinite freedom to do whatever you want, that in and of itself, you know, it's a negative limitation where it limits your creativity. But if you constantly run into walls with your ability or your budget or your, you know, even like how you can write, like Where the Wild Things Are only happens because he can't draw horses, because the original version of the story is Where the Wild Horses Are, and he was like, I can't draw horses, so it's Where the Wild Things Are. Like, that's the limitation of his ability, and now he makes this thing that becomes huge. If this were AI, he'd just go, okay, AI, make wild horses running around on this island, and then that would be that. It's like, you need limitations and in order to create stuff that's actually good. So like, if you're just going to get into lazy, repetitive ways of thinking, because you can just be derivative and just push it right out, whatever. So yes, it'll be cheap because it is cheap. And people won't care because they shouldn't. If somebody's not willing to put actual time and effort into a thing, then why should you put any of your time into it? If they don't care, why should you care? If it's just trash, it's like you're not, you know, dying to play shovelware games, are you? I do think it's, you know, equivalent to, like, I've said this before, and I don't mean to be like a broken record, but it's literally just fast food. That's what AI is. It's like, yeah. I mean, and it's like anything else. It's like AI taking over all things. Like, I think it's the best version of the AI stuff that I've seen is just memes. Like, Instagram reels and shit that's just memes using AI. Sure, go for it. But in terms of, like, you know, actually creating meaningful content, I just don't see it, because, you know, it is the oversaturation thing. It's like you become like numb to it. Like, if every single person could sound like your favorite music artist, then that wouldn't be special anymore. You know, and you can do that now. Like, you can make like a shitty AI version of a song, but like that person, you know, that unique thing that you used to see all the time, it becomes not cool anymore. It's that same idea of, you know, like when pretentious you know, hipster people back in the day, or, you know, now it still happens. It happens with everything. But as soon as other people find out about this special thing they found, now it's not special anymore, and they go, ugh. That's like AI. It's like, oh, I always wanted to see that classic old school, like Dungeons and Dragons first edition manual. I always wanted to see that in that style. And then there's like a billion of those AI images now. So it's just kind of like, oh, okay. Like, yes, I've seen enough. I don't care anymore. Like, the fantasy of seeing that and being like, well, that would be neat if people were still making those and you had like a never-ending treasure trove of that shit. But then it's like, okay, all right. Now I actually just want to see like unique stuff. Now I like look for what's that game? What's that fucking game? Wizardry. I like looking at like the old Wizardry artwork. That is really neat. That stuff's cool. Because it's still interesting and different. I always forget how powerful Clip Studio is for painting. It's so quick. It's fucking crazy. Especially like just roughing all the values in to add like texture to after. It's so fast. The thing that I didn't do to this painting that I wish I had done, I've been doing this thing with my client work, and I'll actually I'll show some of that as these like live streams go on, because I have the ability to share one of my client pieces on stream. I have it up right here. I'm working on this right now, this composition. It's for this game that I've worked on called Blackbirds. It's an RPG, so it's a tabletop RPG, pen and paper. But I've done a few covers for this. So this is the one that I'm currently working on. The thing that I'm doing at the moment is putting in like other characters that are supposed to be there that I hadn't done before. So there's this little puppet dude down here that I added in, and then well, the brief was just saying like there's these untrustworthy advisors around this prince. So there was a couple descriptions of them, but for the sake of just doing a composition, I kind of just sketch people in, and I'm like, I don't know what they look like, you know? I just need people to be there to fill the space so that I can then just get the composition out as a sketch so that whoever the client is can approve it, look at it. So now I'm going in and actually adding in the proper characters that are there. So one of them is this kind of like spooky old Pope dude. And then the one over here, where are they? Where's this other guy? Oh, over here. This guy's like a stony dwarf. Is this designed for the box or marketing material? This is the cover of the next book. So I've done 3 covers for them. This will be the 4th cover I've done. They're all kind of like this. The books are huge. I can pull one up. You can see this. This is the first cover I did. did this cover here. Yeah, it is a tabletop game, but these are the books that go with the tabletop game. You know, you always refer to manuals and all that. These RPGs, these pen and paper RPGs. You see like the gnome dudes? I don't know if you can tell from that far away, but there's like an ice one and a woods dude, and now I'm doing a rock one. But yeah, I just do these like pretty elaborate covers. The other one, the third one, I actually did on stream before. But the next dude I got paint in here, or draw in here, is he is a, what's he called? Paladin, Golden Paladin. Hold on, let me black out my screen just in case. I don't want work stuff popping up. Okay. Alright. So here's this dude. So this is the guy I gotta add. So I'm gonna put him off to the side and I'm gonna draw him. Where should you go? I feel like I should make these guys smaller. So I'll give you an idea. Let me pull that guy back over. Just gotta look at him a little bit. He's supposed to be huge, but if he's here, I don't want to make him look weird. I'll just put him in and see what it looks like. Kinda got a conquistador helmet thing going on. more or less just putting him here just to place him. I'm gonna move him around. This is just a rough sketch. Yeah, so to get him to read, I might have to make him like a little in the distance or something to pull off his size. Yeah. He's an awkward character to put there. I guess it's okay. I can kind of get him like in the flames in the back, because I have a big fiery composition. But if it doesn't work, I can put him on the other side. Bit more real estate, but I also don't want to sacrifice the castle back there. And then I can just switch the dwarf and the little bishop pope dude. Yeah, I think I need to do that because it's too awkward. And I want the Pope guy to be below that dude. I feel like he fits there better. Makes more sense to have two characters that look like that together. Then they look spooky. And I'll just switch. Did that work? Hello. Cool. What is going on? Yes, you. You can't flip. What is this? Flip horizontally. Jesus. That's one of the cool things about Krita, is that sometimes it just doesn't work. Not how you'd want. Alright. Okay. So then I just need to know, I can look at my phone actually. I was waiting to find out who this last character was. I have that one other character to sketch. Let's see. Okay. Let me send this out. I just am taking pictures and sending it to the client right now. Let's do it. Send the picture. Who goes above the dude? Alright. So hopefully I get a message back. Anyway. So there's gonna be like a big old war scene down here. I got them all sketched in. On both sides of that. The prince in the castle, and then whatever this monster is gonna end up looking like. Cool. Anyway, that's one of my jobs. $74 watching with only 40 likes. Oh, I don't care. You can do whatever. I don't need to grow my channel. I'm just hanging out. So when you do the sketching, the character's not decided yet? Well, it depends on the project. If it's like an established franchise or something like that, then I'll sketch in the actual characters. Like if I'm working on the like Diablo season artwork that I've been doing, like all those characters are, generally speaking, they're like established. Sometimes when I'm working on that stuff, they're still in the process of like working on things, so it might take a minute for me to get the appropriate reference. So I'll put something in there that's maybe not exactly what it's going to look like by the end. But in terms of like most jobs where I'm working on an established IP, I generally get all the reference, and then I just kind of plug stuff into a composition that I like when I'm sketching around. But in terms of blackbirds, I kind of have like a more, yeah, like an interesting relationship with them, because when I'm working with Ryan, who hires me to do artwork for the game, a lot of the designs that are on the covers, well, pretty much all the character designs are just my original designs, and I just design them as I go. So like as I go through the cover, I just come up with what everybody looks like. Would you rather do the designs or have them established and just get the refs? Oh, I'd rather do the designs. It's easier, because then I just can do the coolest version of everything. Like, sometimes it's fun to work on a character that's lame or something, because then it's interesting to figure out, like, how do I make this cool? It's so not cool. How do I solve this problem? And I like that sometimes. Like, that's a fun thing to do in a job. Like, I'm not making fun of stuff, but like when I was working on like the Legacy of Kane's like Soul Reaver cover, like some of that stuff is just like the designs I was working with were like kind of funny to me, or just like super duper 90s. And not that that's bad, but for me personally, I was like, ooh, like how do I make it for people that aren't just like 30 plus, you know? Like how do I make this cool for everybody? Like make everybody like this stuff, or show like why it's cool, update like little things here and there to make them, you know, like I don't want the character to, like if the reference I get is the character with like a bowl cut, I'm like, oof, let me change that a little bit to make it not so rough. Like just things like that. But so that's sometimes that's really fun, but most of the time when I'm working on something, I like to have like total control, because then I can make it as cool as I want, and that's just more fun. And you have a sense of ownership over it, you know? Because I know my strengths. I know like what I can do really well. So that's like what I get to do when I'm working on something. I don't know what's going on. I have this controller here. Buttons not sticking. You feel like everything's too stiff when you get the refs? I mean, I'm able to, like, I don't get refs for like poses and things, but if I'm working on something and I get reference for like the design, sometimes it's just hard to make the design look really cool. What's worse, Kane's hairline or Raziel's bangs. Probably the hairline, because I feel like the bangs came back. Like all the kids look like him now, you know. I see those Soul Reaver bangs everywhere. All the kids think it's cool. I'm gonna hop off of here in 8 minutes, or no, less than that, 6 minutes. So if you have any questions, comments, anything at all, feel free to leave it in the chat. After this is over, I'm gonna post as soon as I can into the Discord for the community challenge. What do you think is a good amount of time to give you all for the deadline for that? Is the month good? Or like a little over that? Like a month and a half? What's not comfortable enough where you're gonna like slack, but you'll do it? You'll feel like you gotta actively work through it without having a chance to rest, but also not get behind on all your other shit you have to do. What's the challenge? I gotta come up with a better name for it, but it's basically the give and take challenge, where it's going to be two characters that have a symbiotic relationship, and one sacrifices something of themselves to give the other one an ability or power, and they feed off one another. So you're basically like designing characters that work well as a pair, sort of like a summon type of situation, but you're the battery for the summon, or whatever your ability is that. I might just call it give and take. But yeah, I have a bunch of examples for it. All right, I'll give a month. Oh my God, now my other thing's doing it. Drive me crazy. Before I go, I'll check and see if I got any sort of confirmation on what that other character is. Okay, cool. I got one. Nice. Good. It's a girl. That'll be nice to add in there. Break it up a little bit. Okay, cool. So this is what I did during the stream. The texture that I lost, I'll get right back. I'm not worried about that. Save this. In my last minute, I'll do some Krita painting on top of that monkey. Here we go. Like, what's good about the Clip Studio stuff is I can quickly kind of paint things in, and it's a little softer. And then when I come back into Krita, I can get a little bit more defined in the lines. Add that texture back in. Sometimes I'm just painting without looking at the painting, like I was just then. Just scribbled. Stupid. Do you know that your streams and videos are on a Chinese YouTube called Bilibili? I didn't know that. Is that like the Chinese equivalent of YouTube? Oh, that's cool. Do I just search my name to find it? I want to see what they all are thinking about it. It's like, this guy fucking sucks. Okay. Alright, I'm gonna hop off here and then I'm going to do the next one challenge for the stream. Well, for the Discord. And when that challenge is up, then we'll do the review and I'll do what I said I would do in the past. Selective paint overs, just chosen at random. I'll do like 5 of the finals and it'll be general critiques for everybody. But yeah, look for that. And thank you all for hanging out. If you want to check out the stream next week, it'll be next Thursday, same time, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. But yeah, later everybody.